Hi everybody, it's Keren here from tuppenscoloured.co.uk. Thank you very, very much for joining me today. This is what I've been making today, and in fact I've made more than 50 of them. They're going to be swapped with other Stampin' Up demonstrators at a training day that I am attending even as I'm posting this. So I hope the scheduling function has worked. So because they are going to be 4 swaps, I'm calling this the Swaptopus. So stay with me, I'll show you how I made it. So this is my Tranquil Tide card. I've cut it to 4.5 inches by 3 inches, and I'm going to score it at 1.5 inches and at 3 inches. And then I'm going to bring in a set square, and I'm going to line that up with, I think that's at the 3.5 inches mark as it happens. And I'm just going to score diagonally. Then I'm going to turn the card round and again line up with that same 3.5 inches mark and score diagonally. I've got my bone folder and I'm going to fold and burnish all of those creases. So the two that go from side to side, that go straight across, they are both going to be valley folds. These are going to be mountain folds, the diagonal creases. Okay, and I'm going to flip the card, and if I haven't creased or folded correctly, this is the point at which I'm going to correct it. I'm just going to coax the card a little bit because card does stretch. So I've got a nice sharp crease there. Next, I've cut a square of Tranquil Tide that is 2 1/8 of an inch along the side, because that, I discover, was the measurement that fitted exactly. And I'm going to put a little bit of adhesive onto this surface, so the lower triangle, and I'm going to pinch that shut, and I'm going to apply some liquid adhesive along this piece. So now I'm going to set that aside for a few seconds to dry while I do the next step. While the adhesive on the 50 odd card bases was setting, I went back to my paper cutter and I cut a whole pile of squares of Pool Party that are 2 inches square. So the next thing I did was I got my Seaside embossing folder, and I went and I embossed a whole pile of these. So I arranged them like this in the embossing folder, and that meant that I could do 5 of them at one time. And then once I'd done them all, the next thing that I did was to give them a bit of sparkle. Now my original idea, and if I was just doing one of them, would be to spray them with a mixture of champagne mist and rubbing alcohol, but the sprayer that I use, it doesn't give a mist so much as a squirt. So what I actually did, because I was doing a whole pile of them, was I mixed some of this into some rubbing alcohol in a little dish, and I just sponged it all over the top. So that made it quite a quick job, and I was left with a whole pile of them. Alright, so once they were all ready, the next thing was to bring back all of my my scored and folded cards, and then I just stuck the panel on the front, carefully, trying not to get glue everywhere. And I've just realised I've done that one wrong, so I'm just going to peel it off, because I wanted them with the folds going side to side, with the embossing going side to side. Okay, so yeah. And I mean, it's, you know, that was my choice. It would look just as good with them going, you know, top to bottom. But I wanted them going kind of that way, so that they were like the waves in the sea. So those were left on one side to dry while I did the next bit. I needed to die cut a whole load of the octopus and the fronds. And at this point I began to wish I had invested in the Big Shot Express, because it was a whole lot of die cutting. Every card needs an octopus and 2 of these fronds. Now the octopus is upside down because I've already stamped that one. So I'm just trying to pretend here that this is a, you know, this is a blank octopus. But the way I did it was that I cut my Calypso coral into strips that were just a little bit wider than the octopus, and I had strips of the Tranquil Tide, which were offcuts from when I was making all of these. So every time I die cut an octopus, I die cut one of the fronds, and then I had to go back and die cut another frond, so that I would have 2 on each card. All right. So that was what I did at the Big Shot. The other bit of cutting out that I had to do was using my classic label punch, and I used Pool Party, and again I cut out at least one. Turned out I cut out more than one for each of the cards. So the next job was the stamping, and I used my Stamparatus for this. So this is the way that I liked to work. So first of all, I stamped the octopus onto a piece of my grid paper. I then took a piece of card that I'd previously cut the octopus out of and put it so that it was around the die cut, and then put in my die cut piece, brought my Big Shot lid over, and it was, you know, rinse and repeat. So I've got a picture of the setup, because what I was actually doing was I did all of the octopi first, and then I did the You're One of a Kind labels, and I stamped on the back of those with the net, and I used soft seafoam ink, and my sentiment, You're One of a Kind. So although there were a lot of them to do, actually it was quite quick, because it was bish bash bosh, you know, it was a really quick process. So I got all of those done. Took me maybe an hour, maybe a little bit less. So then I had my You're One of a Kind, and I've got my classic label again, and I just snipped out those corners, and now I've got a little flag piece. So now I had all of my component parts for all 50 some of my cards, and now I'm going to put them together. And what I did, I just sat in front of the TV with a big box of my swaps, and I just kind of got on with it. So I put 3 dimensionals on the back of each octopus, just like this. And because I'm going on to a textured surface, and these are going to be travelling away with me, I also put a little bit of liquid adhesive onto the back of the dimensionals, and I'm just fitting that together, sticking that together. Then I've got my grassy fronds, and what I did was I did all the octopus, and then I came back to each card and I did all of the grassy fronds. Oh, I'm sticking that one on upside down, but never mind, nobody will notice. And last of all, I've come in with my sentiment. And I think the sentiment was in a different place on each card, but it's roughly towards the, towards the middle of the octopus. Okay, so a couple of last things. I'm reaching over to my other table here. I've got a glaze pen, and I'm just giving him shiny eyes. And on the back of each of my octopuses, I'm going to give my swappies a little gift, a little hand freshener, a little towelette. And I've just folded it over because it doesn't fit otherwise. A little bit of snail on the back. And just pop that into place. And that helps to keep the card upright, believe it or not. It just balances it out just a little bit. So there you are. That's another one of my Swaptopuses. So there he is, my little Swaptopus. I can't claim credit for the name. My husband came up with that one. And actually, considering I made more than 50 of them, it actually went together pretty quickly. So it's that batch making process that works, where you do one bit and you do all of that, that function, and then you do the next bit, and then you do the next bit, and you do like 50 odd at a time. So yeah, my arm is aching slightly from cranking out 50 octopuses and 100 seaweed fronds, or whatever they are. But you know what? I've survived the process. So I will be posting a video showing what I got on stage, which is the event that I'm going to, and the swaps that I got at my the training day afterwards, which was organised by my upline, who is Sam Donald. So yeah, we've got a Poodlers training day. So that is it for today, and I'll see you again very, very soon, I hope. But for now, thank you very much for joining me, and do come back again, won't you? Bye bye.